Okay, so we have one last example here in chapter 3 to go over, and that is going to be example 317. Example 317 is going to start at the bottom of page 64. Okay, bottom of page 64. So if I go underneath here, here is our problem 317. Now, what I want to do is I want to look at our equation first. There's quite a few vectors here. So you'll notice that our equation that they have identified is a plus b minus c plus d is equal to e plus f. All the vectors are down here. Okay. Now, as we look, you're going to notice that there are two vectors that have the dashed lines, and then the other three are all solid lines. So B, C, E, and F are all fully defined, meaning they all have both magnitude and direction. But A and D only have direction. Okay, so what we need to do is, you'll notice here it says solve for the magnitudes of A and D. So we're going to do that very same thing, where we're first going to, number one, make sure that A and D are on opposite sides of the equation. Okay, and if we need to, we're going to rearrange. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to see if we need to resolve any other negatives that might help us out. So as we look here at this equation, okay, I'm going to put my piece of paper underneath here. We know that A and D are our unknown variables. And right now, our equal sign is right after D. So A and D are on the same side of the equation. We need to move one of them to the other side because we have to separate out those two unknowns, one on each side of the equation. I'm going to move D to the other side. So we're going to have A plus factorially B minus factorially C is going to be equal to E plus factorially F, and then it's going to, I'm sorry, minus factorially D. I'm going to get my book out of the way here now. Okay, so what we did is we just moved D to the other side. Since it was positive on the left, it became negative on the right. Okay, and I have my greater than sign on each one of these because this is vector equations. Now, you'll notice I can't do anything about it. Something has to be negative. It would either be the A or the D. So I will be dealing with a negative, and we'll see how we do that once we do the problem. But I do have another negative, and I like to work with as few negatives as possible, right? Because then we don't have to worry about the changing of the arrow and all that kind of stuff. And the other negative we have is the C here. We're going to move C to the other side. Now, because D has an unknown quantity and A has an unknown quantity, both of those need to be at the end of the string on whatever side they're on, right? As we had seen on the last one. So we are going to start with B on the left-hand side, and we're going to add A, okay? C is going to move over here on the right-hand side. So this is going to be equal to E plus F plus, I didn't put enough room there, plus C, okay? So C was negative over here, it became positive, but it's fully defined. So I want to put it before D. D needs to still be at the end. So my two unknowns are A and D, okay? And they're at the end of each one of the lines. Any question on the rearrangement here? So we moved D to the other side from over here. It became negative. We moved A to the end here, and we moved C to the other side, so it will become positive. So now instead of dealing with two negatives, we're only dealing with one. Jacob. Yes. Yes, remember, we have to separate out those two unknowns. They were originally on the same side of the equation. I needed to move D. It could have been A. I could have moved A to the other side if I wanted to, okay? The book moved D, so I moved D. You know, that's really the only reason, honestly, okay? And again, our unknowns have to be at the end of the string, okay? All right? So we will use this equation right here for the order that we're going to be adding and subtracting our vectors to solve for the magnitudes of A and D. Okay. But before we get to that, we need to draw our vectors. So I'm going to be drawing. Yes, it will be Tim. And we will be doing that when we do the adding later. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to get our vectors in order first. Don't forget F. It's kind of sitting up there, 100 going to the left. Matthew, you're just coming in. We're on example problem 317.
Got it.
Okay. So once we get the four vectors that we see here, B, C, E, and F, drawn, magnitude, direction. And then when we add in A and D, direction only, and I did those on that object 2 layer just because those are the magnitudes we're going to be solving for. Now we're ready to kind of relook at our equation and make sure we're all set. And Tim already stole my thunder. We're going to be changing our minus d here to be like we did when we did vector subtraction last time, where we're going to add the negative d. So I already put the equation in here. So we're going to change this to plus vectorially, and then it's going to be parentheses negative d. Okay, oopsie, negative d. So we want to change that equation like that. Okay. And then that way, when we get there, that'll help for us to put our arrowhead forward in the right place, right? Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is we'll see where our equal sign here is. We're going to start on the left-hand side, and we are going to start with B, and we're going to add A to it. So I'm going to start by creating an origin, and I'm going to kind of show it maybe right about here. Again, just large enough so that I can see where it's starting, because that tells me where the equal sign is. So since B is my first vector on the left-hand side, I'm going to move B, put its tail at the intersection of my origin. Okay. Then I'm going to add A. Okay. I'm going to add A. So I'm going to move A, and I don't know if it's going to go up from the end of B or down from the end of B. So I'm just going to do a nearest here, kind of in the middle-ish of that line. And I'm going to place it on the end point of B. And I might move this over a little bit. Okay. That's representing A. So now as I look at my equation, I've taken care of both B and A on the left-hand side of my equation here. Now I'm going to cross over the equal sign, which means I'm going to start back at the origin, and I'm going to place my first vector. My first vector, I'm going to move E, and I'm going to start with its tail at the origin. So obviously I got to move this here. Okay. All right. Don't worry about the A line. Okay, we'll deal with that in a little bit. Then I'm going to add my next vector, which is F. So I'm going to move F. I'm going to take its tail, and I'm going to place it at the tip of E. Okay. So E plus F. Then I'm going to add C. E plus F plus C. So I'm going to move C. I'm going to take its tail and put it at the end of F. Okay. Now I might need to do a little moving around of things. So I'm going to move. I'm going to move C here-ish right now. Okay. So now the last vector I need to place is going to be D. So I'm going to scooch this down here, and I'm going to move D, and I'm going to start like here nearish in the middle-ish, and I'm going to place it at the end point of C. And move my D down to here. Okay. So what we have, we kind of have this. Now, what I need to find is where A and D are intersecting, because I need the ends of both of those to meet, right? So A and E intersect right down here. So whatever is left over after, I'm going to trim away. So I'm going to trim away this and this. Get rid of that. I don't know why that did that. All right. But then they're going to end wherever they intersect with the tip of the other vectors that they're on. So A is going to be from there to there. It's just a small little section. And then D is going to trim from the end of C there, okay? Let's talk about A first, okay? I'm going to move the label for A, I don't know, right about there. Now, we know that A is vertical. We know how long A is. We could measure that line, but we need to know where to put the arrowhead on A, okay? As we look here, this needs to be B plus A. So B, that means the tail of A is going to be at the tip of B. So that means A is going to point down. Do you see that? A is going to point down. So we got to sneak in a little arrowhead here, pointing down at A. It's going to be a small one because there's not much room here. Okay. So A is pointing down. I might as well measure A right away. So I'm going to go to my notes. I'm going to do a linear dimension, endpoint to endpoint. And I'm going to pull it out over here. It's a small dimension. So I've got to go to annotate, arrow down, modify, fit, and we'll do, I'm going to start with 50. I don't know. And this is, you just kind of play around with it, right? Oh, not too bad. Okay. 29.43. It's a good number. They have 30. I don't know why they're rounding so much, but 29.43 should be something that you're getting pretty darn close to. Did you guys get that same number? Yeah. Awesome. Brooke. Possibly. I can take a look at it. Yeah, that's okay. As long as the positives, they can be in a different order, but the negatives have to be at the end. Okay. All right. So any questions? Go ahead.
I got 29.71. Is that okay?
I don't know. Well, it's probably there's something not quite right. Make sure that
Okay.
you are getting to your endpoints, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
make sure that everything is, drawn correctly. If they are and you double check them and they're all okay, then yeah, that's fine. That's relatively close, but
Okay. I'll double
it should
check.
be pretty darn close, yeah, to this. I did 50. Yep, a scale of 50, but it might be different for you. All right, so we've got A in place. Now, let's talk about D, and I want everybody's attention here because this is the negative, okay? So, as we look here, we are adding, I want everybody's attention because I don't want later on somebody to be like, how did you get your D in that direction? So I'm explaining it right now. Okay, I'll wait for everybody's eyes. Okay, so we're adding the negative D. Okay, we're adding the negative D. So this keeps all of our vectors tip to tail, right? Okay, so let's go over here. We've got C plus negative D. So if this is plus negative D, which way would our arrows go down? Would it go down and to the right or would it go up and to the left? Plus negative D. Down and to the left or up and to the right? Oh no, down and to the right or up and to the left?
Up and to the left.
No,
Damn. Sorry.
no, that's okay. Plus negative D. I want to know, where are we adding negative D? It has to be tip to tail, right? So the tail of D has to be at the tip of A, and negative D will go down and to the right, correct? So which way is positive D? Up and to the left. We are solving for positive D. So you're going to draw in here D going up and to the left, okay? So I got to go back over here. I got to go back to object 2, and my arrowhead is going to go up and to the left. Does that make sense to everybody? We're going to label this positive D, okay? And we're going to change our equation here back to minus and just put D. Okay? The problem isn't asking us for what is the magnitude of negative D. The problem is asking us for what is the magnitude of D. So we have to solve it for its positive direction. Okay. So does everybody understand how we got that? So, oopsie, that didn't update. I must have done that right. I want to get rid of this as my final equation, and this needs to be a negative. There we go.
Magnitude doesn't have direction.
We didn't do magnitude yet. We didn't do magnitude yet. We just did the direction. Any questions on the arrowhead? Now let's do magnitude. Okay, now let's do magnitude. So we're going to do an aligned dimension this time. And we got to go to endpoint. I hope, is it to the endpoint? Yeah, to endpoint. And you should get, oops, I want to put this on the notes layer. Okay. You should get 68.4. And I'm going to move my B down here. Okay. 68.4. Do you guys get that same answer? Or very close to it? Okay. Is it because the green arrow is down? Is it because green arrow is down? It would have, yes. So Tim, if I'm understanding, so if we would add the negative D, the arrowhead would be down and to the right. But we want to know what is the magnitude of D. So that's why we have to present it as a positive value, and it is going to go up and to the left. Does that make sense? And then we have to change our equation because we're not adding the negative D anymore. We're subtracting D. And this is the, if you would, the positive value. So D positive is going up and to the left, and it has a magnitude of 68.44. Okay. All right. So when I accidentally put A on the right instead of D, then sure, that's fine. That's fine. It's always easier if you guys do it the same way as I do in class. When I'm correcting them, it just is easier for me to go through, but that's okay. All right, so now make sure when you take your screenshot that I can see arrowheads on everything. I know it got a little bit small here with A, but make sure I can see that. Make sure I can see the values. If your values end up small, I can't zoom in to see them better, because what happens is when we take a screenshot, it becomes a raster image and it just gets grainier and grainier as I zoom in. So you have to make these as large as possible so that when you take your screenshots, I can see them on your paper, okay? And if they're too small, then you're going to have to go back in and change the font sizes and make them bigger, okay? Because if I can't read them, I can't give you credit, all right? So this would be the last problem to add to your Module 3 practice problems, okay? Any questions on the practice problems before we leave this? Okay, now I'm going to go over to Module 3. I'm going to click on the practice problems here. So we have now completed all of the practice problems here in the Module 3 practice problems, but there are 2 additional questions. Don't forget to answer these questions as part of your document when you hand in your practice problems. If you don't, it goes to a 0, okay? So 0 or 10. So make sure you answer those, okay? All right. All right, then that's all that I have for new information. We'll look at the assignment in just a bit.